Hi everyone, Melissa here. Welcome to another installment of Food for Thought Friday. And this week I want to talk to you about artificial sweeteners. Nowadays they're put in pretty much everything, and you can't go to a restaurant without seeing those little packets of Equal, Splenda, Sweet and Low. And they can seem like a very alluring option, but are they too good to be true? That's something I want to talk to you about today, give you some of the research and some of the studies, and let you make your own decision for yourself about what you choose to put in your body. Now, first of all, I want to talk about why these even exist. Why did somebody decide that artificial sweeteners were a good idea? Now, they can seem very alluring because, first of all, they can help you control your weight. You can have that sweet taste with little to no calories, which seems like a win-win. But as we discover throughout today's discussion, that might be too good to be true. Another reason is that they can help you control your diabetes if you're a diabetic. Some people can't process sugar, so artificial sweeteners might seem like an alternative option for you to have something sweet without causing diabetic complications. So first of all, I want to talk about sugar in and of itself. Sugar is also known as sucrose, and as we know, if you're eating clean, you really should be limiting the sugar. It's empty calories, it's high in calories, but low in nutrients. Your body doesn't really benefit from that very much, and as we all know, it's bad for your teeth. Ask any dentist out there. That's the deal on sugar. Moving on to aspartame, which is also known as Equal or NutraSweet. The NutraSweet name is a little less popular than Equal, but it's still out there. Now, before this was approved by the FDA, it was linked to brain cancer. The FDA decided to approve it anyway. That was their decision to do that. They've done it with a lot of things that it's been linked to cancer, and they decided to pass it anyway. They apparently thought that study was inconsequential. More recently and more disconcerting, in 2005, a study by the Cesar Maltoni Cancer Research Center linked this to lymphomas, leukemias, and other tumors, including kidney tumors. That seems a little troublesome. This same research center in 2007 did a study on rats in utero this time. It was again linked to leukemias and lymphomas as well as breast cancer. Again, this same research center repeated a study in mice in utero this time, and it was linked to liver and lung cancer. That seems very worrisome. Kind of paling in comparison, it's also been linked to weight gain, headaches, and dizziness. The Center for Science in the Public Interest has labeled this as a void. It's also received the lowest food additive ranking. So this is something that I would definitely caution you on ingesting. It's something I personally don't ingest. It's not worth it to me. Moving on, I want to talk about saccharin, which is also known as Sweet and Low. This was linked to bladder cancer in rats. Further studies also concluded that it was linked to uterine cancer, ovary cancer, skin cancer, blood cancer, and cancer of other organs. That's a lot of cancer. This is something that I would caution on ingesting as well. This was actually banned in Canada. The FDA considered banning it in the U.S. They put a warning label on it, but ultimately decided not to ban it. Their reasoning was that there was a lack of evidence that this caused cancer in humans. I don't know about you personally, but for me, a lack of evidence doesn't constitute evidence for me. So this is something I would not want to ingest personally. Again, the CSPI labeled this as a void as well. Moving on to sucralose, which is also known as Splenda. This seems to be the most popular of the artificial sweeteners out there today. Again, this is another instance where there was a pre-FDA study. Sorry, I have a sore throat. A pre-FDA study linked this to shrinkage of the thymus gland, which ultimately resulted in immune system problems. So was passed by the FDA anyway. Again, there's some recent studies that are cause for concern. 2002, it was shown under high consumption to cause DNA damage in mice. Again, this was high consumption, so probably not something that if you had this every once in a while that would be a concern, but again, something that doesn't make me feel at ease. In 2008, it was shown to decrease the amount of good bacteria in the GI tract. Going hand in hand with that, in 2012, it was linked to inflammatory bowel disease. Kind of makes sense that if it decreases the amount of good bacteria in your GI tract, that IBD would be something that you would be concerned about. Again, the Cesar Maltoni Cancer Research Center also studied this as well. In 2012, they studied mice in utero, and this was linked to leukemia. The CSPI labeled this as caution as opposed to avoid. It's up to you if that's a distinction. This is something that I don't choose to ingest either. That's me personally. Moving on to high fructose corn syrup. You pretty much can't open a newspaper without hearing some sort of jibber-jabber about how high fructose corn syrup is terrible for you. It has been linked to obesity, cardiovascular disease, type 2 diabetes, metabolic syndrome, fatty liver disease, pretty much everything. This is labeled by the CSPI as cut back. It's been linked to so much, but really the deciding factor is this worse for you than sugar? The studies are still up in the air. For me, I choose to cut back and eliminate this just like I do with sugar. So that's my personal take on it. Moving on to sugar alcohols. This would be sorbitol, xylitol, mannitol. These aren't actual alcohols, but because of the way they're molecularly composed, they're called alcohols nonetheless. A lot of these are in products marketed toward diabetics, your sugar-free candies and whatnot. But it can be a little misleading because these do actually contain carbohydrates. So if you are diabetic, you do want to be concerned about that because it can cause a spike in your blood sugar. Some people don't know that, and they can eat a lot of sugar-free candy and end up with high blood sugar as a result. So do be aware that these do contain carbohydrates. So diabetics, you do need to limit that. Moreover, because these are not properly absorbed by the body, they can also cause bloating, GI distress, and diarrhea when consumed in large quantities. So also be aware of that. Some cleaner choices, and choices that I would personally recommend, are honey, maple syrup, agave nectar, or molasses. Those are my personal recommendations and things that I would turn to. So that's the cancer research and the studies. I understand that a lot of people don't put a lot of stock into that because there's always some studies saying one thing, then another saying another. It's hard to differentiate what is important, what's not, what to believe. If you don't want to take stock in those studies and you don't want to listen to them, then I understand. But I do want to explain this to you in a way that makes you understand how your body works. These can be so appealing because people are trying to control their weight and they're trying to be healthy. But the studies have shown that using artificial sweeteners actually increases your weight. And that can be a little counterintuitive because you're thinking, well, there are less calories, so how can I be gaining weight? And the fact is that digestion doesn't just begin in the stomach. People like to think digestion as going on in the stomach and things are turning around and things are happening to food. That's not the case. Digestion begins before you even put anything in your mouth. You've got a plate of food there and your mouth is already watering. That saliva coming from your salivary glands, that's digestion occurring. And when you put food in your mouth and you taste it, your taste buds are already sending signals to your brain and they're going to your stomach and they're saying, get ready for food. Now when you're eating an artificial sweetener, your tongue tastes something sweet. Your brain gets those signals and they go to your stomach. And your stomach is expecting that sugar, that sweetness. only it's an artificial sweetener, so your stomach's not getting it. So the problem becomes, and what researchers and scientists think is going on, is that your stomach is waiting for that sugar. And you keep eating and you keep eating, and you eat more because you're not feeling full, because your stomach is still waiting for that sugar. And this is why studies have shown that artificial sweeteners actually lead to increased weight gain and lack of feeling full or satisfied because of this. You're basically tricking your body into thinking it's getting sweetener and thinking it's getting sugar, but it's not. It's just getting an artificial sweetener. And this is really just causing a big problem, because if you just ate that sugar, then your body would recognize that and feel full, but since you're not, then it's waiting for that sugar and keeps waiting, and you end up eating more. Studies have again and again showed that using artificial sweeteners actually leads to an increase in weight gain, and again, this is part of the cascade of events as to why that's probably happening. So if you're using artificial sweeteners in an attempt to control your weight, I would really caution you on doing that, and think about the way your body works, and you're trying to fool it, and your body is not stupid, it's not being fooled, and you might be the one that's actually being fooled by these artificial sweeteners and their claims. So I just wanted to let you guys all know about the different studies, my take on it. My take on it is avoid artificial sweeteners. Always try to go for something natural, especially if you're trying to eat clean, because artificial sweeteners are not part of a clean diet. So, alright guys, if you have any questions or comments or want to talk to me, that's great. I love to hear your thoughts and opinions. Alright, see you guys next week. Bye.